Welcome back everyone to the Hanseatic Dreamland. Today with a quite packed episode and, to be honest, a very exciting one, because in today's episode we are doing a lot of things you guys have commented in the comment section of the last couple of videos, and I'm fulfilling some of the wishes you've been talking about a lot. So we built playgrounds and an old harbor area. Here's a little sneak peek of what you can expect in today's video. And I will have to explain a lot because I did find out a couple of techniques I wanted to use, and also there will be a couple of things for the future of this project. But before, as always, little hint from Instant Gaming. This is the channel of our sponsor, the sponsor of our channel. That's the right way around. And you can obviously get some game keys over here from your wonderful favorite games, or you can get DLCs, or you can even get in-game currency, just like in PlayStation Network or Xbox Live, or how say it, like whatever, Windows Live. I don't even know how it's called right now, but you can get it for a very good value. And they have also currently, or they just had, a Switch 2 giveaway running, so there are always some very cool giveaways in there too. Just check out the link in the description, and you'll be met with a good valued offer, I'm sure about that. Anyways, let's get back into the build today, and as promised, we are fixing quite a lot. So the cool bit about this build today is that we are having a wonderful just like situation in which we don't really add a big ride or a big area, but we are bringing the pieces together. And I think the dynamic of a project like that has it that you always want to push out something like major and something new. And you know, when I put in the desert hall over here, that was obviously like a huge leap forward because there's just so much space that we have captivated, and you know, all of a sudden this became this wonderful new area. But I must admit that like the biggest fun in these projects is when you see the pieces coming together. And I do remember very well that very early on in the series, people have been started to become worried if this project can get in the vibe of a theme park whilst not being too much of a harbor area per se. And I must admit that this was a justified danger. I always had that thought myself as well. But at the moment, I'm actually, like, it's actually the opposite. At the moment, I have the feeling I must go deeper into making sure it's looking like a harbor rather than a theme park. But more about that in the real-time part. I'm going to show you a couple of things. So at the moment, I could play this game forever. I just don't know what happened, but the last update just kind of made so much right for me personally. I know that still a lot of people have a lot of issues. A lot of people still have bugs and crashes and stuff like that. Unfortunately, or fortunately for me, I guess, I can't the slightest agree with that or just like confirm it. This game for me runs super stable. The only thing I had is, like, I made this video about the 5 things that I still need to be fixed, which is a super justified one, but everything else just runs fine for me. The game runs smooth, it looks good, it just feels super stable. The UI and UX has been so improved that it finally feels like getting stuff done in a good amount of time. And as I've been playing Planet Zoo lately as well, which, you know, really is the game that I potentially am the fastest in building because I'm so used to it, the difference wasn't even that big anymore. And the more I play those 2 games in exchange, or like switching from one to the other, the more I notice how much scaling becomes a central element for me personally. And the longer I play Planet Coaster 2 now, the more I feel like this is such a huge miss in Planet Zoo that I'm like really struggling to get stuff done over there. And this is as much as I dislike it for the sake of Planet Zoo, this is what I've expected from day one with Planet Coaster 2. It didn't happen, so it's good to see that it happens now, because it is nothing against Planet Zoo. It's just a very good argument for Planet Coaster 2. Anyways, let's talk about what I'm building over here, because this is a tiny playground, which has been one of your suggestions in the comments. Quite often, people ask for playgrounds, and so I am doing one over here, like a little western playground. Nothing crazy. I also figured that I did... we got to fix that in real time, but I just figured that I forgot to make the opening for the slide, where the people can go onto the slide. There's still that wall. People have to climb over it. Yeah, that's not like how it should be. Then putting down a netting and so on. It's quite fun because, you know, being a dad of 2 now, while the one is 4 years old by now and the other one is becoming 5 months, 6 months, I don't know. But the 4-year-old obviously is freaking in love with playgrounds. You can't pass by a playground without her going crazy over it. And so I tried to take some inspiration from the playgrounds around and just made a couple of things. And this over here, I have no idea how you call that in English, but like in German, it has the fantastic name of Wipptier, you know, which is kind of wiggle animal, wiggle pet. I know that sounds wrong, I know. Yeah, but like you tell me in the comments how that's called in English. But I wanted to make one of these things, and sure, you could make this better, and there is certainly a trick to make this a little less. I know exactly how you would need to do this and put the two motors against each other so that there is just like that tiny wiggle, but that was a little bit too tiny for me, so I did something else, and I built something more special, which is one of these things that even would have like a motor even in them realistically, but like I created this minecart kind of thing, which I thought fits so much better to the Western vibe over here. So I put this on this kind of wheel and then put like a little staircase to it, and then obviously this thing would go forward and back, like depending on what you do. And then we had these wheels that we got with the last update from the Formula Rosso coaster, and then they would bump forth and back and would be sitting on this thing. I thought that was thematically a little more fitting. And then I made like a little water play over here, like, you know, having just a bit of water coming out of this thing, because kids love water. Water and sand is the bestest combination for kids. You can keep them quiet for hours and hours if they just give them a couple of buckets, you know, water and sand. They'll be done for hours. I tried to do a couple of things here with the water, like the fake water. It looks kind of good when you move it in, but I couldn't find a size that was suitable. I wish they would give us even smaller options from these water, because the idea of having these water pieces in game is fantastic. It really, I love it. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, whatever. So when I was done with the playground, I thought, you know, there's this kind of empty corner over here. And what I didn't want to do is I didn't want to put in another shop area over here, because I'm still planning to add a couple more shops to the inside of the Western Hall. I will say, though, that the biggest issue I have at the moment is waiting for the restaurants make me kind of realize again how different it is in a theme park. You know, in a zoo, you way more often, at least that's what I feel like, is that you do have these snacks, you know, snack stands and vending machines and stuff like that. It just makes kind of sense to have them. But then in a theme park, more often than not, you really have a lot of restaurants. Sometimes even per themed area, you do have these restaurants, and then a couple of snack machines here and there. So knowing that we'll get this wonderful, pretty damn cool new restaurant soon, I'm like, I can't put anything else in here. So I decided at the end of the day it was time to have like a bit of a locker area, because we don't really have a locker area in this project whatsoever. And what I also noticed is that from the inside over here, this doesn't really look too Western. So I put some beige kind of sand color walls behind it, just to maintain a bit of the Western vibe, you know. And I just decided to get a bit of a bigger plaza in here, put a bit of a planter in between, because usually what you have with these with these locker areas in parks is that they're hidden in a corner, you know. It's not like too prone in your view. You definitely want to hide them away a little bit, because people, you know, want to put their stuff there and don't be, you know, viewed the whole time, and people don't need to see everything. So I did put them a little bit in there. And yeah, it just turned out to be very cool. I really liked how this area shaped at the end of the day, and I think every theme park just benefits from these tiny areas a lot. You always think about, oh, there needs to be that or that or that, but sometimes it's just okay to have that little area which is in itself a part of the whole project, you know. It doesn't need to be too fancy, it doesn't need to be too crazy, you don't need to have a ride everywhere, you don't need to have, I don't know, a restaurant everywhere. It is enough if this is just like an implied corner where we do have a couple of, you know, picnic tables I put here with a couple of canopies. They realistically would be very much in use because of the kids playing over there, simply because, you know, parents need to observe what they're doing, and sometimes they just don't want to sit right on the playground. At least I wouldn't want to do this the whole time. So that was that, and we were done with the playground, which is a bit more of an easy one to talk about. But now we have to talk a lot more about our old harbor section. So This has been a couple of times commented, and if I do find all the comments, I'll be putting them right on screen right now so you can see where this is coming from. And I love the idea to have an old harbor part in this game. I must, first of all, praise this game quite dramatically at this point. Now, this was quite a big area to cover over here, and if you think of the old Planet games, the way how the terrain interacts with the pathing and so on, usually would have taken hours to get right, hours to get all the shaping correct, hours to make sure you don't have the problem with the intersecting terrain and so on and so forth. Nothing of that was an issue anymore because of the way how the new pathing works and how it is interacting with the terrain around it. I am in love with this. I know people still have issues with that because it's tedious, and if you see what Mr. Taji does do with all of the things, you can realistically be pretty annoyed because there is so much more potential in this system, which is not leveraged at this point in time because it's just too complicated, and you would need to basically watch a Tagi video a day to get all the tricks and ideas. And there is so much I want to do as well with the pathing, like having these, having how's it called, transparent raised path, and also having these path over like very shallow path over the pools and so on. That's something I will do, and I saw all the taggy tricks, and the problem again is it is a bit too tedious. You always need to think about what exactly do I need to do, but at least like for the general things in this game, the pathing just does the magic. And also the way how you can put the flatrides just where you want them. They are just easily leveled, and in a couple of seconds, I want to say, this looks like as it's meant to be here. But yeah, so let's talk about the two rides here. So first of all, we have this weird kind of buoyancy thingy. I don't know how you call that. I think this is the single legit spot where to use it ever, and I think this will be the only time I will ever use this ride in this game. But for this old harbor section, I thought that's actually exactly what you can do, putting it there, and then in my imagination you can go to the ground of the river and you would see some maybe old pieces of an old harbor section or whatnot, because that's exactly what we do. And what I'm doing over here, before we talk about the second flat ride in the real-time part, to tell you a bit more about that positioning, I wanted to create a bit of an atmosphere, but let's talk about that in the real-time part. It's easier to show. Let's talk about that one first. So what I wanted to do over here is I wanted to build one of these old shipyard kind of things, and therefore I embedded that a little bit. And honestly, this is more like a theme park would do it, but then again, this is realistically how it was. So the idea is to have this area where you would let the old ships into the harbor, and there's this, in the path, they use a lot of times these old wooden locks for that, and then you would let the ship loose and it goes into the water, and the locks kind of fall into it with them as well, but as they swim, they can then grab it out of the water. And then you do have the workers area where they can work around the ship, and this realistically would have been the hall before that. And so what I want to do, I want to build a couple of remainders of this previously old shipyard house, if you want to call it that way. And I used a lot of old metal looking kind of styled stuff where realistically people would have been climbing onto, and then there is where the ship has been built. I'm even using these rails, as you can see, in a clever way to mimic the shape, like the bottom shape of a ship where the ship would have been built into. And this is kind of the I don't know, the guarding rails, or the area where you build this, whatever you want to call that. But like, it's implied, it's not exactly how it was in real life, but this could easily be how it was in the past. And then we will also do a bit of an educational board in front of it. I haven't done this yet, I still need to do that, but as I said, there's a reason why this area isn't fully finished, and I'm going to talk about that in the real-time part a bit more to show you what exactly I mean. But yeah, so I ended up using a bit of a nice wall over here to ensure everything is kind of hidden and nicely covered in what it needs to be. So just making sure everything is looking good, making a bit more of a nice western entrance, but that again is just a placeholder. I think I'm going to make a bit of a nicer entrance for the western area, and also a bit of a nicer separation. Now, as this area was done, it was time to get in some of the old kind of harbor vibes, and it wasn't particularly easy to find old things from the Hamburg area, which is a bit kind of confusing. And then I went to some Hamburg historical pages where they had some older stuff. But funnily enough, a lot of the stuff that you find if you type in old Hamburg harbor is giving you the Speicherstadt, which is apparently the old harbor. And now it's still used in the modern times, but in different ways. But it is the old harbor, so it doesn't really differ too much from the look that we had. But I wanted to have something that separates the rest of the area with this one. And I end up going for one of these very old crane designs. Like, it's just like a round tower that has one crane arm. And I wanted to use specifically the Western iron shovel thingy because it just looks so cool. It just looks so exactly what I wanted to in terms of the overall vibe of the old thing. So I merged them into each other. I did need to deactivate the shovel first, but maybe I can reactivate that because I've found a way to integrate that properly. But yeah, I was using the platform as a ground to build this rounded thing. So for those of you who don't know, you can use these platforms, and in the platform there is an option to say mirror things or mirror things rotational. Then you do not mirror it once, but you can mirror it up to 12 times, and then you can actually build a perfect circle, but you just need to build 1/12. Is that how you call it? Anyways, just one of these 12 pieces you need to do yourself, and the rest will automatically scale around, which will make it so much more simple for you to figure out exactly how you make the shape. It's looking a lot more professional. I mean, it technically works the exact same way with the central pillar technique, but I figured the central pillar technique, as much as it has some advantages, so you can then change certain areas of the build later on, if you will. So the platform trick only works if you're just going for a perfect circle. As soon as you want to do something else with the circle shape, it doesn't work anymore, because realistically there is only 1/12 of the entire build existing. The rest are just copies of it, and you can't individually work with them. And as soon as you try to move this building into another one with the move trick to get pieces out of it, then you will have the issue that basically the piece that you're selecting is not the same. There is a way to get both and all 12 pieces out and then have the perfect thing, but it's more tedious than to do it with the central pillar type technique. Anyways, so you can see what I was doing then is I wanted to get in a couple of other things. I used the normal crane design over here because realistically in this harbor area, maybe later on they came in with a bit more of a more modern crane, but there's just one over here, and I will recolor that into a bit more rusty colors so that this looks good. I did copy over some of our lovely canopies here for the flatrides. Maybe I'm going to change one of those two, but I think they are very versatile, and you would use them a couple more times in your park anyways. Because again, this is a harbor area in the first place, and you would need to have some pop-up things. But again, I think I may actually change one of the two at least. That was just like for me now a placeholder to see where the queues go. And then I figured we can use our main building yet again. This is the building we've also used for the big pool area on the other side of the river. And I figured it's a very cool piece to create a backdrop for this old area, because this was one of these typical Speicherstadt builds in terms of its architecture, with the high walls and big windows and then rounded tops and so on. Like style-wise, this already looked pretty decent, and I just wanted to put this to the other side just to have that backdrop. But this will also fulfill a purpose in the future, which I'm not going to talk about too much right now. I still have to see how I do connect some areas of the park. We will talk about that in the real-time part. I hope I remember that, because it's very important indeed to show you where this is all going. The puzzle pieces come together. And if you remember a couple of episodes ago, I said, okay, I reached the point where my initial plan is done, more or less, and from now on we are developing something new. That is true, but also I have now in my head developed a couple other ideas, and so I have another new plan for the next updates or episodes I'm gonna share with you in the real-time part. As you can hopefully tell from the commentary, I am so excited playing this game at the moment. I know it's not super popular, I know the views are not great, I know that people are still upset with a lot of things, but in all honesty, I have been super negative at the beginning, and I still stand by what I've said. And here you can see, even in the time lapse, one of these big issues I still had. People kind of, whatever reason, did come here in the crowd, and it took me a while to figure out what to do to fix it. There are still a lot of things broken in this game, I get it, but it becomes fun, and this is the most important part for me personally. It is fun to play and build, and this is what I've been missing, and now it's in, and I can't say how happy I am about this. I can't stop creating in this game. It's insane. I went to bed way too late because of this build. I should have stopped way earlier, but like here we are, and it was so much fun. But let me show you more in the real-time part, because it is very essential to talk about where this is going, and I'm so proud to show this to you. So let's move over. So let's start with our western area and the little playground we built, including the wonderful picnic area. So this is how it looks. I also added a bit of terrain over here to separate this coaster area a bit nicer from this. And I must admit, this whole area is starting to look like something. It's really, really cool. I'm still debating what I'm doing over here with the side of it, but like it feels a lot more integrated right now. I thought about putting a pathway all the way behind here, but I felt like it's not like quite okay at this point. Maybe as soon as I know what I'm doing with this hall over here, we may change this, but I really love how this was shaping out. And if we go in here, again, this is what I meant, like we do have this little fake facade over here. I need to do a couple of little things here, but now the queue entrance is a bit nicer than it used to be before. We have our little kind of, yeah, fake river in here, if you will, which still doesn't look very nice because of how the river rapid or the log flume ride looks in general. I can't really do much about it, but I mean, in here having it look fake is kind of okay. Oh, I think there is a little issue. We may just fix that little issue, because we don't even need these things. There you go. Okay, so this is that. And I still have a lot of work to do. I still need to cover up all the inside walls to make it all appear a lot more Western in here. So I decided at some point I will make this all beige from the inside to make it really look Western. And I'm looking for some smaller pictures to make a mural in the back here too. So to have this full Western appeal. And I'm going to put a little bit of a shop here in the center. So these things are still within the plans. And I want to live stream this. This is a plan at the moment. I'm looking forward to doing that. I'm not sure when I have the time, so I'm not going to promise this, whoops, what is this? Is there a... Oh, the day I couldn't move because the window was appearing in the center. So, and then once we fly through here, this is where we get into the new area, and there we go. This is the brand new area. This is the old harbor section, and you can see I put a little train in the center, which we can just open, because I felt like this was this perfect spot to have this kids train in here as like a attraction for the smaller kids in this wonderful park area. The old park area could be like a guided tour where you get a bit of a tour here through the old harbor, talking you through what exactly is what. We do also have a bit of a nice area on the opposite side here, which is part of the old harbor, and I'm gonna do something on this wall here, maybe having an old facade of the old harbor section, how it looks like some of the old harbor wall, builds, and then have this all rounded up with a restaurant. And at some point we will be connecting this part of the park, because this is becoming another part of the park too. So we're going to have another bridge here as well. So this will be a lot more, you know, a lot more of a higher traffic area. So this is why we do need a bigger plaza like that. But apparently, as you can see with my park now, just showing you, we are at 10.5 thousand guests. I mean, it's early in the morning, so now people come into the park, as you can see. There's a huge inflow of people coming, but like performance-wise, it's all great, but I feel like Frontier has to raise the limit again. This park easily can go up to 1,800 now, 18,000 I meant, not 1,800, easily, maybe even 20,000, and we're getting to a park capacity that is really realistic. I believe Phantasialand, for example, has something about 20 to 25,000 per day, something like that. I do believe is the case, and yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So after being able to make this area, we still have to do a couple of things with here, as I said, with the restaurants, but the problem is that the restaurants will not be in here until the update, which is still a couple of days to go, 9 days to be precise from today. And for the next episode, before the update drops, I will cover this area over here. I have a certain idea what we could do here. I'm not entirely happy with the prototype I did, let's put it that way. So I may change a couple of things about what I've done here, but this area will be covered the next time. And then this entire part is almost done as well. This front here still looks ugly. I gotta do a couple of gap fillings here and there, but as you've seen this with this area, I'm becoming better and better at gap filling and making the entire park look good. So I mean, if we go over here, look what this area has become after I did the gap filling. It's just like looking at this area, this gives me the most roller coaster tycoon vibe I've had in a very, very long time. And I mean, if you look at how the park is coming together, I just can't tell you how happy I am about the views from over here. I still have to change a couple of details on the houses here. I'm still not happy that they're too copy-pasty, you know. We still have to do a couple of changes. Maybe change the red of the house. I'm happy that this one looks different. I will make another blueprint for another of these buildings so that there finally is some difference in these houses. And there will be, apparently we will be needing some more bigger ones. So yeah, I'm super, super happy. I know I repeat myself, but it is becoming such a great park. And I also decided to upload version number 1 of this park. As soon as this is done over here, V1 is getting into the workshop, so you guys can explore it yourself. I'm mega happy how it looks right now. I'm mega happy where this is going. So yeah, as I said, this is the area, and I now told you where this was going with the restaurant over here. Maybe a bit more things on the front, on the plaza here too. The plaza is very barren. We do need a couple of decals on the ground, which is true for the rest of the park. I want to make a couple of blueprint things with you know, making sure that we have a bit more of a kind of concrete feel. You can achieve this by using some of the decals. I'm just going to show you real quick. It's going to be a very, very tedious work, but you can utilize this piece, for example. But at the moment, it still has some color issues, so not being too sure what to do. But like if you do this like very dark like so, and it still remains white-ish for the most part, which is so odd. I definitely want to have the white be able to recolor too. You can then merge that also slightly down into the ground. Yeah, it doesn't really work. But like moving out, it is definitely too white. So what you would need to use is a different piece, and this could become the moss piece maybe. Whoops, come up. This could be that one. Or what we need instead is something like this, you know, a broken piece. But then again, you can scale it, but this becomes too big either. But you can apparently go and try to match it with the color of your plaza. So more like this, you know. And then this already breaks the mood a little bit. I really want to go even further into it. Maybe even using some of the techniques Taggy has with them, making some, you know, ground textures that you can copy in, because you can apparently also utilize the trick of making, you know what, let's take the time and show you, because I feel like this is the most important thing to do. So what you can obviously do is you can go in and then say, okay, let's use the path stamp tool. Here you go. And then let's actually go and do asphalt texture. So 1 and 2. And what we're going to do now is we are going to just, let's say all. So we're going to copy those 2. And we're going to bring them here. But what we do instead is we're going to say, hold on, double click on here, go there, and then we're going to make this a little bit different in color, so a tad bit darker. There you go. So those are darker, you know. What we're going to do now is we're going to take those 2, and then we're going to move them slightly away, because what I need to do now is I need to just take those edges. There you go. And then we're going to make this. Come on, let's get both. Hello? Are you kidding me? There you go. And now what we can do is apparently we just move that so much back. Okay, that was a little bit too far. Maybe a little bit further here. Okay, still not. I think the reason why is because this one is too close by. So let's move that all the way back. And then we can actually, you know what's way more easy is to use the delete tool. So you're going to go to the delete tool, the path delete tool, and then you use that one. Make sure it's going here, and then just move it all the way here to make it very thin. There you go. This is that. So you could even make it thinner, I believe you can. Let's first of all try to make this even thinner on this side. Let's see if I can get even more out of it. Yeah, that is the most thinnest you can get. And then move that over. Here you go. And yeah, well, okay, well, that little bit we still need to get rid of. Okay, hold on. So let's just do this, move it over. So what we do have now is these very tiny pieces over here, but we can then apparently move them in the center, for example. And then you have this very nice, darker piece in the middle. And from over here, you can then just go and, let's say, copy those two over. Just, whoops, around, whoops, no, not that, just around the corner. Clap that here. And make that go. Yeah, I did a little mistake there, but like you can easily see where this is going. Just like move it so. Like that. Oops, why was it changing the height? Huh? That's kind of confusing. Okay, hold on. We just gonna make, oops. How did I even do this? I wanted to just select these upper areas there. Just make that go and then bring that in here, for example, and maybe in the middle too. And then what you could easily do is apparently go here and then just use the draw tool and then just draw through the middle to just, oops, finish that off. And then same goes here. Almost like filling in. Whoops. Dang it. So like that. Again, it's a little bit tedious at the beginning, but once you have it, so there you go. You have a bit of a nice texture in here. Now, if you would put some more decals in, whatever. And now you could select the whole thing and then copy that over. First of all, confirm apparently. And then copy this all over. And I'm not sure if I have the same ground texture here, but we can then put it in like though, this and this and this. Actually, it's not even too bad. See, and the thing that's happening now is you create basically a little bit of a more patterned ground, which is broken up by, you know, you could make this a lot more nice looking than I did right now. But this is changing the appeal of the whole area. I definitely have to put a queue in here. People are queuing up. What I wanted to check for a while, also, again, let's check that if this is going to work. And then this is way more than an episode I wanted. Anyways, we're going to make a barrier. And we're going to use this one. And we're going to put this here. And here. And here. Let's see if that works. And I want them to be... Is that doing it the job? I'm not sure if this is working. Look at them. They're just straight walking into the station. But now people should be staying in this area here of the queue. Not sure if this is going long term, but for short term that should do the trick. Let's just select those things and make them at least. Oops. Yeah. No, deselect that one. Confirm and change the color. Making it all look a lot more as it's supposed to be. There you go. And you know what? We can get rid of those. And then I'm just going to use that one. Move it here. Here. And here. But it seems to work. It seems like people are going around there and start queuing there. So you can make basically your own queue on a plaza, if you will. It's not going to be meant this way, you know, but you could do it. We could also try to make us, you know, queue in this area in general, like a real one. But I like the way how it's working. I like the way how it's turning to look. And just in general, I mean, look at this old harbor area. Isn't that looking really cool? I am a big fan of how this is looking. It will look a lot better once we have a lot more like typical things in like lanterns and, you know, all that kind of stuff that you basically need. But I am certainly very happy. And there's one last surprise I have for you guys. Something I have promised for a long while, but it's not been there yet. But now I have it finally, and I'm very happy to share that with you. this is something for the members of the channel. And finally, the leaderboard is in, guys. There you go. The Hanseatic Raceway at the moment is going nicely. And we do have in number 1, Rob, Thumper World, 2, then Random Planko, Canaanite, Orang Shore, or Shogre, Duftsy, Stevo, Mike Sprue, Miss Barbary, and Lucas Spirito. If there was any mistake in here, I did create this with ChatGPT. I made my own GPT to tell it to turn my stuff into things for Hanseatic, and it is so freaking fun to do. And there are a couple of other things I will do. I use all my names and all my stuff, but this way I will be able to provide you guys with a lot more cool things for the members in the future. Very easily to do, and also I like the way how it's turning out. There is the other leaderboard you race by, and still not sure why people get trapped in here all the time. I do have to delete some of the pathways in between. People still get stuck a little bit in between, but you know, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. So, what a long episode, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. This project is getting somewhere. It's getting better and better every single episode. And now, also, if you don't mind, but give me an idea what you would put in this space over here. I have a certain idea, but maybe you come up with a better idea. So, let me know in the comments down below. Have a wonderful time. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Remember, YouTube is actively unsubscribing you from channels. For whatever reason, YouTube is doing that, but please double check if you're still subscribed if you are not, and I hope you have a wonderful time. As always, if you want to become a member and part of funny things like that, you can do so, but it's not obligatory, obviously. But you can also just watch the videos. That's equally as great. Thank you so much for watching, as always. Have a wonderful time, and goodbye!